You killed my mom." The words slice through the courtroom. A 10-year-old boy stands, his finger pointed straight at the judge. His voice doesn't shake. His eyes don't blink. Gasps echo. A lawyer drops their pen. Reporters scramble for notes. The judge, a man used to control, sits frozen. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. The weight of the accusation grips the room. Everyone knows. This isn't just a child's outburst. This is the truth coming to light. What happens next will change everything. Before we continue the story, let us know where are you watching from. The boy's name is Jaden Carter. He's just 10 years old, but the way he stands makes him look older. His mother, Lisa Carter, was everything to him, his protector, his whole world. But now, she's gone. And the man responsible? He's sitting in front of him, wearing a black robe, acting like nothing happened. Judge Richard Calloway, a man of power, respected by many, feared by even more. He has made decisions that have shaped countless lives. But one of those decisions destroyed Jaden's world. And now he has to face the truth. The courtroom is packed. Rows of lawyers, police officers, and reporters fill the space, their eyes darting between Jaden and the judge. Some people grip their pens tighter. Others shift uncomfortably in their seats. They weren't expecting this. Outside the courthouse, cameras flash. News stations broadcast the case live, but nobody could have predicted this moment. A child standing alone, calling out the very man who was supposed to uphold justice. For Jaden, this isn't about making a scene. He doesn't care about the cameras or the crowd. He's here for one reason: to make the man in front of him answer for what he did. And there's no turning back now. "You killed my mom!" Jaden's voice rings through the courtroom. The words land like a hammer, shaking the air in the room. Everyone stops. Lawyers, reporters, officers, even the judge. The silence isn't just quiet. It's suffocating. Judge Calloway, a man used to commanding attention, grips the bench, his knuckles turning pale. His face remains still, but there's a shift in his posture. A 10-year-old child just shattered the courtroom's balance of power. His voice comes out low, controlled. "Young man, do you understand what you're saying?" Jaden doesn't move. "I understand exactly what I'm saying." Murmurs spread. Someone coughs. Reporters scribble furiously. A microphone crackles as a journalist leans in. The defense attorney jumps to his feet, voice sharp. "Objection, Your Honor. This is inappropriate and emotionally manipulative." Ms. Thompson, Jaden's lawyer, steps forward, unfazed. "Objection? The only thing inappropriate is acting like this didn't happen." The judge slams his gavel. "Enough!" But nobody is looking at him anymore. All eyes are on Jaden. He steps closer. "You signed the papers. You sent my mom away. You didn't care what happened to her." The courtroom shifts, an unspoken weight pressing down. Some people look at their feet. Others glance at each other as if realizing something. The judge's voice sharpens. "This is not how the court works. You have representation. Let your lawyer speak for you." Jaden shakes his head. "I don't need a lawyer to tell the truth." The judge exhales, slow and steady. "Your mother was convicted fairly. I followed the law." Jaden's hands tighten into fists. "Then why did others with the same case get lighter sentences? Why did my mom get the worst punishment while others got second chances?" The silence in the courtroom thickens. A reporter flips through their notes. A lawyer glances at the judge, waiting for an answer. He doesn't give one. Jaden tilts his head. "Because she was black?" gasps. Someone shifts in their chair. A pen drops. The judge's face hardens. "That's enough." Jaden takes another step forward. "It wasn't just my mom, was it? There were others. People like her. People like me. And you didn't care what happened to them. A journalist starts typing. A few people in the back pull out their phones, scrolling through records. Miss Thompson folds her arms. Your Honor, care to explain why identical cases under your rulings had different sentences based on who was in front of you? The judge's jaw clenches. I don't have to explain my decisions. Jaden's voice doesn't waver. You do now. A moment of silence. Then, from the back of the courtroom, a voice speaks. He's right. Heads turn. A man in a suit, sitting in the last row, slowly rises to his feet. My brother was one of them. Same charges, different skin, lighter sentence. Another voice follows. My cousin, too. Another. My father. More people shift, nodding. The courtroom is no longer just watching. They're remembering, connecting the dots. The judge grips his gavel. Enough! This is not a public forum for opinions. We will continue with the case. Miss Thompson's eyebrows lift. Oh, now you want to follow procedure? The tension presses in. The weight of unspoken truths drowning the courtroom in an eerie stillness. Jaden doesn't step back. You can't bring my mom back, but you're going to answer for what you did. The judge swallows. For the first time in his career, he has no control, and the entire world is watching. The courtroom is no longer a place of order. It is a battlefield. The judge shifts in his seat, gripping the edge of the bench. His authority is slipping through his fingers. For years, his word has been law, his decisions final. But now, a 10-year-old boy is standing in front of him, tearing down the illusion he built. Jaden doesn't blink. His voice is steady. You sent my mom away like she didn't matter, like her life was nothing. The judge clears his throat, trying to force authority back into his voice. Your mother was sentenced according to the law. This is not up for debate. Miss Thompson, Jaden's lawyer, doesn't sit back. Then why did people with the same charges get lighter sentences? She picks up a folder and flips through the pages. Would you like me to read through these cases, Your Honor? Because I have plenty of them. Reporters lean in. Camera flashes go off. The courtroom is no longer just watching. It is waiting for an answer. The judge's fingers tighten around his gavel. I am not on trial here. Jaden's voice doesn't waver. You should be. A murmur spreads through the room. The judge exhales sharply. This court will not be turned into a spectacle. If you have concerns about past rulings, they should be taken up in the appropriate channels. Jaden's eyes darken. That's what my mom tried to do. She followed every rule. She asked for a second chance, and you shut her down. A deep silence falls over the room. Then a voice from the back. He's right. Heads turn. A man in a suit stands up, his hands slightly shaking. My brother had the same charges. He got probation. Jaden's mom got 10 years. Tell me why. Another voice follows. My cousin, too. Another. My father. The room shifts. People aren't just watching anymore. They're remembering. They're connecting the dots. The judge's face pales. Ms. Thompson taps the folder. Your Honor, I have documented proof of sentencing disparities in your courtroom. Would you like me to read them aloud? The judge slams his gavel. I will not allow this circus. Jaden's voice rises. You don't get to decide anymore. The judge opens his mouth, but no words come. Ms. Thompson flips through her documents. Let's start with the Carter case. Jaden's mom. First-time offender. No criminal record. A non-violent charge. And yet, you gave her the harshest sentence possible. Meanwhile, a man with the same case, same charges, walked free under your ruling. What was the difference? The judge's grip tightens on the bench. His lips press together. Jaden steps forward. The difference was, my mom was black. A single breath moves through the courtroom. The silence that follows is thick, filled with weight. Miss Thompson continues, her voice steady. We've reviewed dozens of cases in your courtroom. The pattern is clear. Your Honor, are you prepared to deny this under oath? The judge finally speaks, but his voice is weaker now. I have ruled fairly in every case. Jaden shakes his head. No, you didn't. You just never thought anyone would call you out. The judge slams his gavel harder this time. This is a courtroom, not a protest. Jaden's eyes never leave him. Maybe that's the problem. Camera shutters click. Reporters scribble notes. The world is watching. Miss Thompson straightens her stack of papers. Your Honor, in light of this evidence, we are filing an official request for judicial review. This is no longer just about one case. This is about a pattern of injustice. The judge looks down at the documents in front of him, his hands shaking slightly. He knows what's coming next. He knows this is bigger than Jaden. Jaden's voice cuts through the silence. You took my mom away. You made her disappear. But you won't disappear from this. The courtroom is no longer his, and he knows it. The judge sits motionless, his hands resting on the desk, his face drained of color. The room no longer belongs to him. It belongs to the truth. Jaden keeps his eyes locked on the man who took everything from him. You thought no one would notice. You thought no one would care. A few murmurs ripple through the courtroom. The reporters take notes faster now. Some people glance at each other, shifting uncomfortably. Ms. Thompson doesn't back down. Your Honor, the records speak for themselves. This isn't about one case. This is about years of injustice hidden behind that bench. She lifts a document. Would you like me to go through them one by one? The judge exhales, shaking his head. This is an outrageous attack on my reputation. Jaden steps forward. This isn't about your reputation. It's about my mom. The judge's fingers twitch. His mouth opens, then closes again. There's nothing to say. And then, a voice from the back of the room. Check the finance records. A sudden hush falls over the courtroom. All eyes turn toward a woman standing near the exit. She wears a dark blazer, her hands gripping a stack of papers. She clears her throat. The judge didn't just hand out unfair sentences. He profited from them. Gasps break out. Reporters scramble. The tension shifts. This isn't just bias. This is corruption. Ms. Thompson lifts an eyebrow. Who are you? The woman steps forward. Linda Parks, former clerk for Judge Calloway. The judge's face turns even paler. Ms. Thompson nods. And what do you have to say? Linda grips the papers tighter. I worked under him for 5 years. I saw cases come in. I saw how certain people got different rulings. But it wasn't random. It wasn't just bias. It was about money. More whispers. Some jurors exchange glances. Ms. Thompson tilts her head. Go on. Linda swallows. Private prisons. They pay per inmate. More convictions, longer sentences. It all means more money. She raises the papers. These are the financial records. The judge has been receiving payments. A collective inhale fills the room. Ms. Thompson's face remains calm. Are you saying Judge Calloway sentenced people unfairly to profit from prison contracts? Linda nods. Yes. The courtroom erupts. A lawyer stands up. We demand an immediate investigation. A reporter shouts, How long has this been going on? The judge slams his gavel, but this time it's weak. The power behind it is gone. Ms. Thompson turns to the judge. Would you like to respond to these accusations? For the first time, the judge looks truly afraid. Jaden stares at him. You didn't just take my mom from me. You sold her. The words land like a bomb. The courtroom isn't just angry now. It's disgusted. Linda steps closer. There's more. There are records, emails, transfers. He covered his tracks well, but not well enough. The judge leans back in his seat. His hands are shaking now. Miss Thompson presses forward. Your Honor, I suggest you say something. Because right now, it looks like you're guilty. A long pause. The judge looks at the crowd, the reporters, the witnesses, the jury. His own staff refuses to meet his eyes. He is alone. Finally, his lips part. But the voice that comes out is nothing like before. It's quiet, hollow. I was just following the system. Jaden's fists clench. His voice cuts through the noise. Number you were the system. The room falls silent again. Miss Thompson exhales. Your Honor, we are officially requesting your removal from the bench and a full federal investigation into your rulings. The judge doesn't argue. He can't. Jaden's eyes burn with something deeper than anger, something sharper than sadness. He turns to leave, knowing that for the first time in his life, the fight is over. Justice is coming, and the judge knows it too. The courtroom is no longer the judge's kingdom. It no longer belongs to him. Jaden takes one last look at the man who took his mother away, the man who sentenced her without a second thought, the man who profited from her pain. But now the weight has shifted. The truth has been spoken. The judge is no longer the one in control. Miss Thompson turns toward the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have witnessed today is more than just a legal argument. It is proof of a system that values money over justice, a system that sees some people as disposable. She glances at Jaden, then back at the judge. And today, we start holding that system accountable. Reporters push forward, their voices overlapping. What happens next? Will the judge be arrested? How many more cases will be reviewed? The judge stays silent. He looks smaller now, his hands folded in his lap. He doesn't argue. He doesn't fight. He knows it's over. Jaden finally steps away from the witness stand. His body feels lighter, but not because the pain is gone. That will never go away. But now, he isn't the only one carrying it. The world saw, the world heard, and now the world will remember. As he walks out of the courtroom, people part for him. Not because he is small, not because he is just a boy, but because he is something else now. A symbol. A woman stops him at the door. Her eyes are filled with tears. My son was sentenced unfairly, too. Jaden nods. He doesn't have words, but he doesn't need them. Outside, cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. Miss Thompson places a hand on his shoulder. You did something today that most people are too afraid to do. Jaden looks up at her. Will it change anything? She sighs, but her smile doesn't fade. It already has. Across town, news stations are running the story. The judge's face is plastered on every screen. Words like corruption, bribery, and judicial misconduct flash in bold letters. Families are calling lawyers. People are demanding investigations. The system that once ignored their voices can't ignore them anymore. And the judge? He will soon know what it feels like to be on the other side of the courtroom. Jaden watches the reporters from a distance. He doesn't want the attention. He doesn't want to be famous. He just wanted someone to listen. And now, for the first time, they are. Ms. Thompson kneels beside him. What do you want to do now? Jaden thinks about it. He could go home. He could try to move on. But something inside him knows that his fight isn't over. He looks up at her. I want to help. She smiles. Then we start today, because this wasn't just about his mother. This was about all the mothers, all the fathers, all the families who were torn apart because justice wasn't blind. It was bought. And today, that ends. This was never just about one case. It was never just about Jaden's mom. It was about a system that punished some and protected others. A system that let people in power get away with destroying lives. until today. Jaden stood in that courtroom not as a victim, but as a voice for everyone who never got the chance to speak. And because of him, the truth is out. The judge who thought he was untouchable will now face the same justice he twisted for years. But this isn't just a story. This is real life. And the question is, how many more judges are out there doing the same thing? How many families never got the justice they deserved? So I ask you, what do you think happens next? Will this be the case that finally changes things? Or will people forget? Let me know in the comments. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, share this. Because the truth only matters when people listen. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay aware, and never stop fighting for what's right.